What's up everybody, I'm Justin with AmericanMuscle.com, and this is going to be my detailed overview and install of the Steeda Sport Springs, available for your 2005 to 2014 Mustang Coupe. In this video, I plan on talking about some of the unique benefits and attributes you can expect when using the Steeda Sport Springs on your S197. We'll talk a little bit more about the drop you can expect, and then finally we'll cover some of the big points of the installation. And right up front, there is a little bit of work involved, obviously, to get a new set of springs installed, but it's really not brain surgery, guys. So I'm going 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, with some more detail coming up later on. Now, the Steeda Sport Springs are one of only a handful of spring options for the S197 on the site that will offer you that standard or linear spring rate, making them a great choice for the owners who might be looking for that over the varying spring rate of a progressive spring. Because of this, I would say these are going to appeal to the owners who are more serious about improving their handling performance over their appearance per se, because these aren't going to offer a big drop. Instead, they're going to offer one of the milder drops in the category. Now, most trusted name in the Mustang industry is a term that I might throw around a lot here at AM, and admittedly so, but if there's ever one company that really does represent that, it is Steeda. In fact, they've been around for almost 30 years now, and over that time have amassed more wins and records than Roush, Saleen, and Shelby combined. So obviously they know what they're doing in the competitive world, and it definitely shows in the results. And without a doubt, some of the parts that have allowed or enabled such performance at the track are their components and the suspension, but more specifically their springs. And like a lot of their other competition-focused springs, the sports that we have here are a linear spring. And what does that mean to you guys? Well, progressive springs are definitely going to dominate the market from an availability standpoint, because oftentimes they're better suited for most road-going cars out there, because they do offer a varying spring rate with a lighter initial spring rate, and this just means it's going to be a little bit more comfortable under everyday driving conditions. Now, the problem with the varying spring rate or a progressive rate spring is that varying spring rate, especially if you're serious about competing with your car. For instance, if you're serious about road course racing, for instance, you might be seeing one spring rate at corner entry and then a totally different spring rate at apex. Now, is this a big deal for most owners out there watching this video? Not exactly, but for those of you guys who are very serious about competing or your handling performance, more often than not, a linear spring will be the way to go, because it will be more predictable thanks to that same exact spring rate, no matter how much the spring is compressed. So what about your spring rates here with these Steeda Sport Springs? Well, you're looking at a 200-pound front spring and a 175-pound rear spring, respectively. And with that said, most owners watching this video probably aren't interested in setting lap records out there. Instead, you're just looking for a spring to drop your Mustang a little bit and improve your handling. And if that's you, the Steeda Sports will still definitely help you out in that regard. You can still rock these on your daily driver without issue. In fact, many of our customers do. There's a lot of solid reviews on the site for these springs. Be sure to check them out before buying, just to help you with your decision. Now, with that in mind, don't expect a massive difference in appearance, because these things aren't going to offer the biggest drop. In fact, you're only looking at just 1 inch in the front and 1.25 inches for the rear. Now, that minor drop will help dig into that factory 4x4 stance a little bit, help eliminate some of that wheel gap, but again, it's not going to be the biggest drop out there for you. Some people might like that, others might prefer that more slammed look. Now, if you do prefer that more dumped or slam look, then definitely check out the iBox Sport lines, for instance, as they will be one of the most aggressive for the S197. Now, I'm always going to tell you guys, your best bet is to pair up an aftermarket spring like this with a set of aftermarket shocks and struts. No, that's not me telling you to buy more stuff. I'm just being completely honest. In my experience, using a spring like this on a factory shock or strut will typically not yield the best performance or the best ride quality, and will oftentimes shorten the lifespan of your factory shocks and struts, maybe even blow them out if you have a higher mileage S197. Yes, I know adding aftermarket shocks and struts will ultimately add to the price of admission. However, you're going to be installing these springs, you're going to be in there doing the work. You'd hate to have to do the same thing twice. Another thing to consider, check out some caster camber plates or maybe alignment bolts, just to help you correct your alignment once these things are installed. And you might also want to think about checking out a panhard bar as well to help you center that axle once the car is lowered. I will say that because these offer more of a mild drop, this won't be as exaggerated if you use something a little bit more aggressive. However, it is something to be mindful of. Pricing wise, these things are gonna fall right around the $200 mark, which nothing crazy, middle of the road as far as other spring options are concerned. But if you do decide to add some of those other components we just talked about, obviously that price will go up a little bit. But at the end of the day, guys, whatever you decide to add or not add to your car is ultimately your call. But let's switch gears, let's talk about the installation here. Briefly, we're not gonna do step-by-step stuff, but what I can tell you is that if you've ever done springs on an S197 before, you know what you're getting yourself into. Really not that difficult, so I'm going 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter with maybe 4 hours to a half a day in the shop or garage, depending on your expertise and of course your setup. Now, speaking of setup, you will need a lift, jack or jack stands, a number of different sockets and wrenches, a spring compressor that always help you out, as well as a pole jack to maybe lower that rear end to help you do those rear springs. The fronts will definitely be the more time-consuming part of the job here, guys, because you do have to remove the entire strut assembly from the car in order to remove the factory spring and install the new Steeda spring using your spring compressor. The rears, on the other hand, definitely the easier part of the job here. Just disconnect your sway bar mounts and the lower shock mounts. The rear end should sag a little bit. This will allow you to remove the factory springs and install the new Steeda springs with ease. Again, not the most difficult job in the world. Just leave yourself a few hours in the garage or driveway and you should be good to go. So to wrap things up, guys, I'd say the Steeda Sport Springs will definitely be for the S197 owners out there who value handling performance over slamming the car to the ground. Yes, the subtle drop of the Sport Springs will improve your appearance slightly, but this is definitely going to be for the owners who prefer to go with that linear spring rate, along with Steeda's trusted name in the aftermarket. So guys, that is my review of the Steeda Sport Springs, which you can grab right here at AmericanMuscle.com.